Hello, welcome to Pensions in 10 with me, David Brooks, and my host this week, Kelly Parsons. It's a one-topic wonder. We're just going to talk to you all about financial education. Okay, Kelly, first up, we're going to talk about financial education and how important it could be to help people understand the financial system and pensions. So can you take us through what that story's all about?
So Corporate Advisor have talked about that a lot of people think that financial education should be taught in schools and that we're actually letting the system down and the world down by not having it. I think it's 9 in 10 people think pensions should be taught at school, but not just pensions. It's like the whole of financial education, what it actually means, like what's interest rates, what's loans, high interest loans, bad debt, good debt, all that kind of stuff. And it should be part of the national curriculum, which personally I feel like it should be as well. I think we're letting children down, we're letting young adults down. They're going into the workplace or after being in they've been in higher education, coming out with stacks of debt and not realizing how much that impacts on borrowing and on the things in life and what have you. I think it should be taught. I think people should be given a really good grounding about what financial education. I mean, I teach it to people now in workplaces and what have you, and so many people don't understand or realize the importance of things like pensions and saving for retirement and what you actually need to retire, and actually the state pension it might not actually give you the kind of retirement you want in life. But it's not just that. I think it's everything that goes around it, like mortgages and what it all means. So I mean, good news from my point of view is that in 2027 it is going to started to be taught in schools. Don't know what on level or what, to what age groups and what have you. I personally feel like it's really important. And I think it's be something that's really useful for kids going forward in life. And another thing as well, as I always talk about gender pension gaps and gender pay gaps and everything that goes on with women, and the fact that we have a lack of confidence when it comes to investing, and we have a lack of confidence when it comes to saving. I'm not an investor. Well, you know what? You are an investor because your pension money is invested. But ladies typically don't have very good confidence when it comes to investing or saving or using their ISA or whatever it is. There's huge gaps there. So any kind of education, I think, for everybody is important, if you ask me. I think you might have some thoughts on this as well. Is that true?
Yeah, I don't know. I think you make a really good case, and actually, we talked about it a little bit beforehand. So, but that you have set out an excellent case for it. I've got just a few concerns around, because intuitively it feels right, and I can understand this YouGov survey is asking people, do you think it should be taught? And intuitively you think, well, yes, as you say, education can solve lots of problems and can make things a lot better. If you understand better, all those sorts of things. So yeah, I totally agree that education is fantastic. I just worry that it feels like a sticking plaster. It feels like something it feels like it's the right thing to do, so we should be doing it. And I don't know if the evidence is out there that actually telling people, I don't know what age, 15, 16, 17, I don't know what age is the right age, well, they'll actually take it on board, understand it, remember it, apply it, and whether it actually will affect their behaviours at some point in the future when they hit it in real life and all the jargon of financial services and all the rest of it as well. In principle, understanding interest rates and understanding what debt is and understanding a pay slip, all these sorts of things, I think they're life skills, and yes, they probably should be somewhere in the education system, but what you take out to make space for it, or what person in what lesson, who teaches it, and whether they've got the skills to teach it, I question as well. So I think I don't want it to be sort of the thought that it's the answer to everything, because it almost certainly isn't. But if it isn't the answer, then we need to look at it at the other end. So making products simpler, or having guidance at the right time, targeted guidance when people are in work, when you start a job and you start joining the pension scheme and you start thinking about buying a house and you start thinking about all these life events that happen, having targeted support at the right time might be more beneficial for people than telling them when they're 15, this is how a credit card works, this is how a debt works. I don't know. I just think the focus just needs to be right. Maybe we do it as an experiment. Maybe the government do make space for, like you say, did you say 2027?
Yeah, I believe so.
27, we bring it in and we review it in a few years. I don't know, that'd be quite a long time to be able to work out whether it's worked or not. But yeah, I just don't want it to be the shortcut to not fixing the problems we have. And in our world, pensions, well, my world particularly, pensions, there's lots of issues with the pension system that we could probably fix to make it more accessible, make it more understandable. But will it address the behavioural issues that people have with pensions, how long they're going to live, how they understand investment risk, how they make money last through their spending period when they retire, those sorts of things. Again, telling somebody at 15 how to spend money in 60 years time, don't know if that really cuts through. And having something like the government are thinking about, targeted support, probably will have better dividends, I think, than
Yeah,
education schemes.
no, I understand. I hear what you're saying, and I completely disagree. Personally, I just think a little bit will help in life, and there's lots of scenarios that I can think of in my life, particularly. I mean, obviously, I do pensions, work it all day, every day, and talk about it. And I feel like as though I speak to people like the grads who come into our organisations here and where I've previously worked. I talk to them all the time about the value of things like pensions and making sure you're maximizing your employer contribution, make sure you get that higher match and stuff like that. And a previous grad that I worked with, I was telling her all about the gender pension gap, and she was horrified. She was zero awareness of it. This girl was like 21, I think. She was having a year out. So she wasn't quite a grad, she was intern. And she's doing a bit of time with us. And she was horrified to hear that the difference of pensions and gender, and all that kind of stuff. And I was just explaining to her, you just be aware of this kind of stuff. And you know what? Typically, when you retire, you're going to have so much less than a typical man, when you do eventually retire. So just make sure you take into account these things and pay in a little bit more into your pension now. And I talk to my children all the time about money, in one ear and out the other. But I feel like as though with my son, he's starting to pay attention to it a little bit and wanted to know about trading, and like you can get fake 212 accounts. I don't know if you've ever seen those online. Yeah, and he's now investing with fake money just to see what the impact of it and how it works and stuff like that, which is great. But I always just think if nobody had said this to me, I'm unfortunate. My dad has always drummed into me about the importance of finances and knowing about that sort of stuff. And I feel like I have this personal mission, and I try and educate people, anyone who will listen to me. My friends down the pub, they don't talk to me about pensions anymore. However, I still go on and say, make sure you're looking after yourself because nobody else will. Particularly, I mean, one of my friends got divorced quite a few years ago now, but luckily she's really money savvy. And we always talked about making sure you've got your own pot of money and you're not completely financially dependent on people. And sorry, kind of moving away from the issue here, but I think it's just so important for people to be aware of these things, and if it can be taught in an interesting and life applicable kind of way, why not? And yeah, okay, I get what you're saying about what goes in and what goes out kind of thing, if what we're going to replace, what's going to get replaced. But maybe there could be a few things that are on the curriculum that aren't necessarily as useful for life, and that maybe that should just be saved for when you decide to specialize in subjects or whatever later on in life. Personally, I feel like a lot of people, when I do financial education and I talk to people about pensions now, obviously quite a lot, but we talk about all sorts of financial education, people do kind of go, oh, I wish I'd known this before. I wish I'd known this earlier. And it's like, actually, you know what? I mean, if it was taught at a young age, I don't know, for example, you don't get auto-enrolled until you're 22, but if you join a workplace at 18, those 4 years could be really valuable in bulking up your pot because of the fact of like growth on that money. Might not be a great deal because you might not be earning a great deal, but because of the fact the compounding over those years, you've opted in 4 years before and you're getting your employer's contribution. So why not take advantage of that? And I feel like if some employers are really good at educating their staff and have lovely programs. Some don't. They just, don't need to, so I'm not going to. But that workforces that are educated, productivity can really be helped, because financial stress is a big causer of mental health issues and concerns. I think there's a stat from Unum that I saw 26% of employees have had stress or worry in the last year about finances. So a bit of education around that might actually have helped a little bit. So let's do the best that we can for people. Personally, I think it's vital. I think it's important. I think it should be a GCSE. I think it should be something that people are able to do a degree, do a subject in. I think it's that important, but I know you're a little bit different to my thoughts.
Well, I haven't got time to come back. So,
Sorry, did I get on my little soapbox as usual?
that's great. That's great. Okay, thanks for listening or watching or wherever you are. Please give us a like and share on LinkedIn. You can subscribe also on our website if you want to get these in your inbox every Wednesday morning. So thanks, Kelly, and we hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.